But anyway, brother, yeah, it's John 17:22, where the glory that Jesus was given, he gave to the apostles, right?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, that I refuted yesterday, but I'm going to refute it for you. That's a
Okay,
lie
okay.
from the pit of hell, because he's confused two categories of glory. Two categories of glory there. The glory that Jesus gives them is not the glory he had before the world was. And I'm going to prove it to you systematically. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
This is why I was hoping he'd call, that I could address him. But anyway, remember, I ran from him, so he's not going to call me. Because why are you going to call me after I ran from you, right?
Of course.
In the first place, you said something that was interesting, and that was a point I made. Even if it's glory, the same glory, it's not a glory they had before the world began. So you were right. In John 17:5, literally Jesus says, "And now, Father, glorify me alongside yourself with the glory I had alongside of you." That's literally the translation, before the world began. So even if it's the same glory, let's assume that. It's a glory they received, they didn't have with Jesus, as Jesus had it with the Father before the world began. You still can't get away with the fact Jesus was there alongside the Father, side by side, in the same glory before the world began. So that point was left unrefuted. And let me help you make that point stronger. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Because he's going to say, well, it's in the mind of God. Well, hold on. The disciples are in the mind of God too. So then why didn't Jesus say, I'm going to give them the glory that they had with you before the world was, if that's all it means? Right?
Right.
Second problem with the argument, well, it's in the mind of God, the plan of God. No, that's pitiful, because notice the language. Jesus said, "And now, Father, glorify me alongside yourself." Now you ask him, if he's here, I'd ask him, is Jesus personally alongside the Father in that glory right now? Is he personally there as an actual person? So yes. So he's not there as an idea, right? No, he's not there as an idea. He's not there as a plan, right? No, he's not there as a plan. You just buried yourself. Because if the first part means that Jesus is there alongside the Father as an actual person, side by side, then the second part means he was also there as an actual person alongside the Father before the world began. You can't have one without the other. Notice what he's saying. Father, glorify me alongside yourself. Well, that's actual, that's personal. With the glory I had alongside of you before the world was. See how that works?
Right. So he would have to, if his argument's going to work, he's going to have to say that you, me, and everybody else has that same glory alongside the Father before the world was.
What that means, we are personally there with the Father consciously. Understand what I'm saying? If I ask you, brother, when it says, glorify me together with yourself, does that refer to an actual, personal, mutual dwelling? That he's there personally alongside the Father? As an actual person?
Yeah.
Not as an idea?
Doesn't sound like it in that verse.
Well, he's going to have to admit, where's Jesus now? Where is he? If I ask you, where's Jesus now? What would you tell me?
You're asking.
Yeah, you. Now you. Yeah, where's
Jesus? Do you want
Jesus
me to argue like him or argue like me?
No, you argue like you now. Forget him.
Oh, yeah. I mean, of course, Jesus is there personally.
Okay, but then you can't have the first part being an actual personal communion, where Jesus is there as an actual person side by side with the Father, and deny that the second part is also personal. Because notice how Jesus says it. Glorify me alongside yourself with the glory I had alongside of you before the world was. So if he's now alongside the Father as an actual person, that means he must have been there alongside the Father as an actual person before the world was.
Bingo.
Are you getting it?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So it's not ideal preexistence that he was there as a plan, as a thought in God's mind. No. If he's with the Father in a personal, side-by-side communion, then the other part means he was there side-by-side in personal communion. You can't have one being actual personal and the other allegorical.
Right.
So right there, you buried him on that ground. That means Jesus was there personally not as flesh, not as a man, but as an actual person, actually there alongside the Father, something not true of the apostles. But now it gets worse. The glory that Jesus had with the Father, which he now regained, is not the glory he gives to the disciples. Let me prove it. Go to John 17:24 now. Reread 17 verse 5. Reread 17:5.
17:5. And now, Father, you glorify me at your side with the glory that I had at your side before the world existed.
Now notice it's not about a glory that he had before the world existed. Now this is the same glory he's going to mention in 24, but now watch the language. Go to verse 24 and see.
Yeah, so Father, those whom you have given me, I want that those also may be with me where I am, in order that they may see my glory that you have given me, because you loved me before the foundation of the world.
Did you catch? He didn't say so that they can have the glory I have.
Right, they need to witness that glory.
They're going to see it. They're not going to possess it.
Correct.
And it's the same glory in verse 5, because it's the glory that Jesus had from before the world, a glory he has because the Father has been loving him from before the world.
Right. Yeah. And there's a definite distinction. It makes it very clear in 24.
And you see, he says that I want them to see that glory, to see me in that glory, meaning they're not going to have that glory, but they're going to see me in that glory. So it's not the same glory in verse 22.
Exactly.
You got it?
Beautiful.
The glory that Jesus had before the world is the glory that the disciples will behold Jesus in, but not possess.
Right.
So then what is the glory that Jesus says he'll give to the disciples? Well, if you don't start at 22 like this heretic does, but start at 18, you're going to see what glory he's talking about. Do me a favor, read slowly 18 to 22.
Yes, sir. Just as you sent me into the world, I also have sent them into the world.
That's the key.
Yep.
It's talking about ministry. Just as you sent me into the world, I've sent them into the world. Now keep reading.
And for them I sanctify myself, so that they themselves also may be sanctified in truth.
Keep going.
And I do not ask on behalf of these only, but also on behalf of those who believe in me through their word.
Do you see it's all ministry, right?
Yep.
I'm going to send them in the world like you sent me into the world, so that through them others will believe, and through their testimony they will bring others to be united with them and united with us. It's about ministry, right?
Absolutely.
Well, I'm going to show you then what glory that Jesus is talking about, but keep reading.
Right. And what else is sticking out to me is 19, where it says, for them I sanctify myself. I mean, Jesus is sanctifying himself.
Yeah, I set myself apart in order to then consecrate them by the truth they'll proclaim, because through them others will come and be united to them and us. So it's about what? It's about ministry.
Right.
Like you sent me into the world to save, I'm sending them the world to preach the message of salvation. So now read 20 again, 20 to 22.
Yeah. And I do not ask on behalf of these only, but also on behalf of those who believe in me through their word, that they all may be one, just as you, Father, are in me and I am in you, and they also may be in us, in order that the world may believe that you sent me. And the glory that you have given me, I have given them, in order that they may be one, just as we are one.
Okay, now notice the context. It's about bringing people into union with the apostles and Jesus Christ through the preaching, because 21 says, through their preaching and through them bringing people to believe by them preaching the world, their unity will result the world in believing you sent me. So it's all about ministry. It's all about salvation. It's all about bringing believers into the fold, right?
Absolutely.
Now keep that in mind. So the glory that Jesus is giving them in the context is the glory connected with the apostles being sent into the world, like Jesus was sent into the world, through their preaching proclamation, bringing believers in union with themselves and with Christ, so that once The apostles are sent in the world to preach the truth by which people will be saved, and they become one that will result in the world also believing and being saved. So it's all about ministry, right?
Yeah.
Now, here's where these heretics don't pay attention to John carefully. There are two kinds of glories in John. There's the glory that Jesus had on earth. That's the glory he gives to them. And there's the glory he did not have but regained when he went to heaven. The glory he had on earth is the glory of ministry, doing miracles. How do I know? Go to John 2:11.
2 seconds.
After Jesus turned water into wine and performed the first miracle, what happened?
It says, this is the beginning of signs Jesus performed at Cana in Galilee and revealed his glory, and his disciples believed in him.
So there's a glory that he did not have and a glory that he possessed and revealed on earth, right?
Yeah, because he then begins to preach, he begins to minister.
So what is the glory that Jesus revealed on earth? It was the miracles, right?
Mm-hmm.
The miracles that he did was proof, because people could see the miracles, hear the miracles, touch the miracles, like a dead man coming to life, verify with their senses. And those miracles prove that though they thought they're looking only on a man, he's more than a man. He's God in the flesh, and these miracles are proving it. Okay, so that's one glory, right, that he already had on earth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now go to John 11, verses 1 to 4. John 11, verses 1 to 4.
So now a certain man was sick, Lazarus from Bethany, the village of Mary and her sister Martha. This was Mary who anointed the Lord with perfume and oil and wiped his feet with her hair, whose brother Lazarus was sick. So the sisters sent word to him, saying, Lord, behold, the one whom you love is sick. And when he heard it, Jesus said, this sickness is not to death, but for the glory of God, in order that the Son of God may be glorified through it.
So God's glory will be revealed, manifested when Jesus resurrects Lazarus physically from his tomb. So now read John 11, 39 to 40.
39 to 40. Jesus said, take away the stone. Martha, the sister of the one who had died, said to him, Lord, he is stinking already, because it has already been 4 days. Jesus said to her, did I not say to you that if you believed, you would see the glory of God?
Oh, they will behold his glory. But what glory? Not the one that he didn't have. The glory that he revealed on earth through the physical miracles, where you could verify with your senses, that provided irrefutable proof he's God in the flesh. That's the glory that Jesus gave the disciples, the glory of enabling them to do physical miracles to prove they are truly the ambassadors of the true God. And the true God is the Father and the Son in unity with the Spirit. And that's where you go to John 14 and read 12 to 14. John 14, 12 to 14. Do you think this heretic will know this?
Hold on, I typed something in wrong. No, I mean, he knows it, but he's gonna.
No, I would be shocked if he knows this unless he hears it from us, because there's no way he's going to go in this depth in the Bible.
All right. So it says, truly, truly, I say to you, the one who believes in me, the works that I am doing, he will do also. And he will do greater works than these, because I am going to the Father.
Now, here's where you got to hammer the connection. They're going to do the same works Jesus has been doing with the Father and the Spirit. Same kind of works, but a greater number, not better, because they're going to reach more people and go to further places, right? But then he explains why.
Yep,
the reason why you're going to do greater works is I go to the Father. Well, how does that impact their ability to do greater miracles? When I go to the Father, then you'll be doing greater miracles. Well, what's the connection? You're going to the Father, and that results in us doing greater number of miracles? Yeah. Why? Because of 13 and 14. Now read.
Right. And so it says, and whatever you ask in my name, I will do this in order for the Father, or in order that the Father may be glorified in the Son. If you ask me anything in my name, I will do it.
There's the glory again. So the apostles will manifest God's glory through the miracles they will do when they ask Jesus to do it for them.
Mm-hmm.
So notice Jesus claims to be the hero of prayer, that he, with the Father and the Spirit, answers prayers, and
Yep.
he, with the Father and the Spirit, will be doing the miracles. He's the one doing the miracles from heaven, a place that only God answers and does miracles and empower people on earth. But Jesus says, I will do it when you ask me in my name, in union with the Father and the Spirit. Because Jesus, we don't believe Jesus does miracles independently. He does it with the Father and the Spirit, because they're the one God, always working together in perfect unity. So,
Amen.
but here he says, when I go to heaven, you'll ask me in my name, and I will personally answer and do and empower you to do miracles that will bring glory to the Father and me, because those miracles that you do will be confirmation that you are the ambassadors of the true God, and the true God that you represent is the Father and the Son along with the Spirit. So what's the glory that Jesus gave them?
The ability to do his works, do miracles.
So it's not the glory that he had with the Father before the world began, which he now possesses again, which they only see and behold him in, but don't possess.
Right.
So where's the problem?
I mean, the only problem there is their lack of understanding of verses like this.
Yeah. So this is why I wanted him to call, because I was going to nail him on these questions. I was going to ask him these questions. And I was going to ask him about Hebrews 1:4. If Jesus inheriting a name means he's not God, then Jehovah inheriting the nations means he can't be God, which would be silly, right?
That would be absurd.
In fact, even the analogy used in the after show, he had an after show after Matt Slick. He goes, look, my mother has left me an inheritance, my sister and I. He even used this example, and I played the clip. He goes, you see, it's given to me in a moment of time. I didn't always have it, and my sister didn't always have it. And therefore, Jesus doesn't always have the name. But then now notice the logic, because he's trying to use this to prove that Jesus can't be God, right?
Right.
But now let's use his own argument against him. Since his mother is human, and she's the one who's going to give him his inheritance in a future time, at some point in time. Therefore, because he doesn't already have it, that means he's not human or less human than his mother, who already possesses it. Right?
Right.
Because his argument is, since the Father gives Jesus a name at some point in time, Jesus didn't always have it, therefore he can't be God or equal to the Father. Well, by his own analogy, because he used the analogy, since the mother will give her son, Taylor, an inheritance in the future, therefore he doesn't already have it, therefore he can't be equal to his mother, then he's less human than her.
Right. Yeah.
Silly, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what does it mean that Jesus inherited a name? This is why I wanted to ask him. It either means that he was given a name, Son, so he didn't have it, according to him, while he was on earth, or it means he was given the name Lord, so he didn't have it while he was on earth, because this is given to him only after the resurrection when he ascends to heaven, or it means Christ or God. Either it means when he went to heaven, after he provided purification of sins, he was given the name God, so he didn't have it while he was on earth, or he's given the name Lord or Son or Christ. So according to him, none of these names would have been Jesus's while on earth, because he only received it when he went to heaven. Now let me destroy that. I'm going to show you now every one of those names Jesus already possessed when he was on earth before his death. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Go to Hebrews 5, verse 8. So that's why I want to know, what name do you think Jesus received after the resurrection and ascension that he didn't already have? Because whatever he says, I'll bury his argument. Because now go to Hebrews 5, verse 8.
Yep. Although he was a son, he learned obedience from what he suffered.
Okay, now read 9. After he suffered, then what does it say in 9?
And being perfected, he became the source of eternal salvation to all those who obey him.
So Jesus suffered when? While on earth, or after his resurrection when he went to heaven?
While on earth.
Okay, but hold on. It says he's learned suffering on earth as a son.
Mm-hmm.
So he's already the son?
Yeah. Well, I mean, on earth he was, yeah.
Okay, but then what does it mean, inherited a name? If the name here means son, well, you already had it, right?
Right, because if the Father is eternally the Father, he had an eternal.
No, that's not
offspring,
that's
son.
not an argument we want to use here. He doesn't believe that. He'll say, show me where it says he's been the Father before creation.
Gotcha,
No, that's not the
okay.
argument. What did you just read? He learned suffering as a son.
Yeah.
So was he a son on earth when he suffered?
Yes.
So that means he couldn't have become the son after his resurrection because he's already the son on earth.
Mm-hmm.
So then what does it mean inherit a name? I mean he received a name that he didn't have? Well, if you say yes, what's that name? If he says son, well, he's already the son on earth. He already had the name son on earth. So it can't mean he was only given the name son after the resurrection because he already had that name on earth, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then he'll probably say, well, he was given the name Lord after the resurrection. That's the name he inherited. That can't be true either because go to Luke 2:11.
That today a Savior who is called Christ the Lord was born for you in the city of David.
Okay, so wait, is he already Christ the Lord on earth?
Yeah.
Okay, so then he didn't inherit the name Lord after the resurrection?
Nope.
Okay, so he's already Lord, he's already Christ on earth, he's already Son on earth. And then read Luke 1:43. Elizabeth, filled with the Holy Spirit, calls Mary what? Guys, we got a customer, Christian man. I'm going to barbecue right after this. Luke 1:43.
And why is this granted to me that the mother of my Lord should come to me?
Okay, so Jesus is already Elizabeth's Lord in Mary's womb, and she just recently conceived him. Oh, but he wasn't God on earth. He was only given the name God afterwards. That can't be because in John 10:33, it says, we don't stone you for a good work, but for blasphemy, because you, a man, make yourself out to be God.
Right.
So he's already God on earth. He's already the Son on earth. He's already Lord on earth. He's already Christ on earth. So what name did he inherit after the resurrection that he didn't have? Because that shows he doesn't know the Bible. The word name, anoma, or, anoma, onoma, however you want to pronounce it. Some people say onoma or anoma, Erasmian, tomato.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at any lexicon, I'm not making it up. The word for name, anoma, can refer to authority. Like when I say, use a modern example, it's a bad one. Stop in the name of the law. In the name of the law. Mm-hmm. What it's saying here is the name that he inherited is not a name, but authority, because he went from a humble status of being a servant to sitting enthroned as king. Mm-hmm. So he inherited royal authority. He inherited a crown. He inherited a throne after he ascended, which made him higher in status than the angels. That's what it means.
I see. That's good.
Right? Because notice the sequence. After he made purification for our sins, he then sat at the right hand of the Majesty on high, and that's when he became better than the angels, because according to Hebrews 2:9, when he became man on earth, he assumed a lowly status, the status of men, and made himself lower than the angels. But then afterwards, he inherited that sovereign royal authority, name meaning authority, rulership, and kingship, where he became higher than them once again.
Mm-hmm.
So where's the problem, brother?
There's no problem.
So hope that helped. I don't know if it did now. I did.